Listen up, Panthers faithful. We all know our defense was shredded on the ground last year, but the front office has been working overtime to fix the trenches. While everyone is talking about the star power on our defensive line, there is one crucial piece flying under the radar who is about to become the ultimate game changer for our season. With injury concerns shifting the landscape, this interior defender is now holding the keys to our success. Is he ready to step up and dominate? Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below before we dive in. The defensive identity of the Panthers underwent a massive overhaul following a 2024 campaign that saw the unit surrender over 3,000 rushing yards. In response, the organization prioritized beefing up the trenches by signing multiple run defenders in 2025. Among those key acquisitions were Tershawn Wharton and Bobby Brown III. While Wharton's tenure has proven to be a disappointment, Bobby Brown III emerged as a highly reliable presence at the nose tackle position. Entering 2026, the stakes for this defensive front have risen significantly. With Wharton currently sidelined due to an injury, the pressure on the remaining interior defenders to stabilize the line has intensified. The front office, led by Dan Morgan, invested heavily in the trenches, utilizing both substantial financial resources and premium draft capital to ensure this team does not repeat the defensive struggles of 2 years ago. The current roster boasts a compelling collection of talent, including the consistently dominant Derek Brown, who often operates as an overlooked force, and the promising Lee Hunter, who has already begun to make his mark. With the defensive rotation looking to integrate these pieces, Bobby Brown III stands out as a vital figure. He is not merely a depth piece, he is arguably the hinge upon which the defensive success swings. As the team prepares for the upcoming season, the absence of Wharton forces a shift in roles that directly involves Brown III. His ability to anchor the middle while adjusting to a larger workload will be tested immediately. Keep pounding. This is the mindset the defense must adopt as they seek to prove that the investment in the trenches will pay dividends, regardless of the individual setbacks that occurred with previous personnel signings in this high-stakes 2026 season. Why does this matter right now for the Panthers? The answer lies in the structural integrity of the defensive line during a pivotal season. The team's goal to limit rushing yards remains the primary objective, and with Tershawn Wharton unavailable, the rotation loses a veteran body. Bobby Brown III is no longer just a potential contributor, he is now a focal point of the interior defensive line strategy. The defensive rotation is expected to feature Lee Hunter, Derek Brown, and Bobby Brown III, with Cam Jackson and undrafted free agent Aaron Hall providing necessary depth. However, the most proven commodity among the group, outside of the all-pro level play of Derek Brown, is undeniably Bobby Brown III. His performance is significant because it dictates how opposing offensive lines will handle the Panthers' front. If Brown III consistently commands attention, it prevents teams from dedicating double teams to Derek Brown on every snap. This specific matchup dynamic is the linchpin of the defense's potential effectiveness. If Brown III fails to provide that necessary secondary threat, the scheme becomes predictable, forcing Derek Brown to struggle against constant double-team pressure. This scenario would be less than ideal for a defense trying to recover from the statistical disasters of 2024. Consequently, the team's ability to remain formidable against the run relies heavily on the versatility and output of Brown III. He is currently viewed as the 14th most important player on the roster, a ranking that reflects his projected workload and his role as the wild card in the rotation. His development through the preseason and into the regular season schedule will determine whether the defensive front reaches its potential or becomes a predictable unit that struggles to contain ground attacks under pressure. The shifting role of Bobby Brown III is a direct consequence of the team's current defensive needs. While he served as the starting nose tackle throughout his impactful 2025 campaign, the emergence of Lee Hunter creates a new reality for the defensive staff. It is widely expected that Hunter will assume the primary nose tackle responsibilities, a move that necessitates shifting Bobby Brown III to a different spot along the interior defensive line. This transition is specifically designed to fill the void left by the injured Tershawn Wharton. By moving Brown III to the side, the organization believes it can maintain a high level of physical play while utilizing the specific skill sets that both he and Hunter possess. This is not just a tactical adjustment. It is a necessity for a unit that needs to solidify its presence in the trenches. Brown III, who has already proven his reliability, must now demonstrate he can transition smoothly to this new assignment. His familiarity with the defensive scheme provides a baseline of stability that younger players or newcomers might lack. If he can perform effectively in this hybrid role, he will maximize the utility of the defensive front's rotation. This evolution of the defensive front is a clear indicator that the coaching staff is prioritizing flexibility and talent optimization over rigid positions. The internal competition for reps at the IDL spots will be intense, with players like Cam Jackson and Aaron Hall vying for time, but the rotation clearly hinges on Brown III's capacity to handle both nose tackle duties if needed and the defensive end-style responsibilities required by the Wharton vacancy. The team is betting on this reshuffling to generate the necessary pressure and run-stopping capability required for success. The importance of Bobby Brown III as the odd man out during the team's initial roster construction now looks like a miscalculation of his true value. In fact, his role in 2026 is far more substantial than that of several other notable additions. With the additions of players like Jalen Phillips and the underrated Nick Scorton, the Panthers have built a deep defensive room, but depth is only as good as the performance of the starters in the trenches. Bobby Brown III is currently the most proven commodity in the interior rotation aside from Derek Brown, and this reality means he'll likely see the highest snap count among the group as they attempt to weather the injury to Wharton. His success or failure will dictate the defensive identity of this team. If Brown III delivers a strong campaign, he creates opportunities for those playing alongside him, particularly by forcing blockers to respect his presence. This ripple effect is the core of what the coaching staff hopes to achieve, a formidable line that makes it extremely difficult for opponents to run the football. The contrast between this year's setup and the struggles of 2024 is the central narrative of the Panthers' offseason. They have moved from a group that allowed massive rushing yardage to one that is systematically building a wall in the middle of the field. Bobby Brown III is the personification of this growth. He is moving from a solid role player to a necessary centerpiece of the defense. His ability to handle the increased load will determine if the defensive unit can finally match the financial and draft capital investment poured into the trenches, moving the organization away from the defensive vulnerabilities that plagued the team's recent history. Looking at the broader 2026 roster context, Bobby Brown III occupies a crucial position within the team's hierarchy. As the 14th most important player, his impact is expected to exceed his status, specifically because he is the bridge between the reliable core of Derek Brown and the promising potential of Lee Hunter. If the coaching staff's plan to shift him to replace Tershawn Wharton succeeds, the defense will feature a multifaceted front that can rotate talent without losing efficiency. This is a deliberate strategy to keep players fresh while maximizing their impact on individual downs. For Brown III, this season is about demonstrating that his solid play in 2025 was the baseline for a more productive future. He's expected to play the most snaps of any rotational interior defender, which gives him the perfect platform to show he can handle individual matchups when offenses shift their focus away from the star power of Derek Brown. The team's, and by extension the front office's, long-term outlook for the defense depends on this group playing with high consistency. The decision to invest heavily in the trenches was a clear signal that the organization would no longer tolerate the defensive shortcomings of the past. Bobby Brown III is not just filling a roster spot. He is fulfilling a requirement for the team to be competitive in the trenches. Every snap he takes while substituting in or alongside Derek Brown is a litmus test for the defense. If he flourishes, the Panthers will have a formidable unit capable of stopping the run effectively, which would represent a massive improvement over the previous year. As the season approaches, all eyes remain on how well Brown III adjusts to his expanded responsibilities within the interior defensive line rotation.